Hi, this is What Else Two Cents, hosted by Polash, Pralab, and Abhishek. We talk about the news which do not get more media attention. We analyze the situations that give rise to that and give our observations about it. So today we'll be talking about Tripura communal violence. The communal violence in Bangladesh during Durga Puja created a huge shock for the South Asia stakeholders. Bangladesh was a country that hailed economic development for the last 2 decades, but that communal violence gave rise to anti-Muslim violence that happened in India's Tripura. Over the past few weeks, mosques are reported to be vandalized in Tripura, and the home of the prominent Muslim advocate was attacked. As political dynamics of the state advances, so are the fault lines, especially since BJP won in 2018. A new element has been introduced in the equation by the attempts of Trinamool Congress from neighboring West Bengal to expand its footprint into Tripura. The situation, unless handled carefully, could hurt the warm relations between India and Bangladesh. We have Pralab with us to give more light on the subject.
Okay, so the analyzing the news headlines coming up. Tension prevails in India's northeastern state of Tripura following attacks on mosques and properties owned by Muslims. So, the attacks were followed by a rally taken out by the hardline Hindu organization Vishwa Hindu Parishad (VHP), a close ally of the ruling party. Shobik Day, a senior police official of Tirupura Police, told that some VHP activists participating in the rally ransacked a mosque in Chantilla area. Later, three houses and three shops were ransacked and two shops were set on fire in the Rawa Bazar area. So, these are the events that followed up post the violence, and there is the tension is prevailing in that state. The things can be attributed to the violence that were done during the Durga Puja festival in the neighboring country of Bangladesh. So the thing is, Tripura shares border with Bangladesh on three of its sides. So a tension occurring there will always set the fire in Tripura. So that was the scene on the ground.
Okay, Pralab, can you give us the political context of the thing that's been happening? Because what we
Okay,
believe that Tripura case was not a single case, and it has a background to it, which most of the news
okay, of
media
course.
actually skip.
Okay. So, Polash, we need to look first the raw facts. Okay, the raw analysis is that municipal elections are going to occur in Tirupura. So, as it happens, as is our nature of our central leadership, that whenever the elections come, start playing the politics of polarization and all such things. So, on the face of it, it appears that due to the municipal election, this sort of polarization is happening between Hindu and Muslim. Okay, so that's the thing. But here comes something else. There are only 9% Muslims in Tirupura. No one gives a fuck about their population, and it's one of the state where Muslim population is on decline. Okay, so what will any political organization or outfit get out of this tension or that massacre that has been created? No, this also disrupts the image of India or the central leadership in front of the whole world. So let's look at the political dynamics of Tripura, and more than religion, it has been uh, defined by ethnicity and language. So Tripura was never a stable ground. Okay, it was never peace there. Okay, earlier it is straight out of 30 years of communist regime, and there were many, there were many discrepancies. There were many eruptions between the Congress and the communist regime and all such things. But the main thing is there is a tension among the population. The population is divided in two groups: the dominant Bengali-speaking population and the indigenous people. Okay, so how we need to look how BJP came to power in 2018. So BJP got support from the dominant Bengali speaking population, dominant Bengali speaking population of the state. Moreover, it partnered with Indigenous Peoples Front of Tripura, IPFT. Okay, and then what it was able to do, that it rode on the two fault lines, and it was able to merge them both, and then it came into power in 2018, which communists failed to do. Okay, they always communists always reap benefits out of this rivalry between indigenous and Bengalis, but BJP merged them both and won. There were many other reasons as well, of course, that why they came into power in 2018. Already it was not all grass was green during the communist regime and all such things. Now, now after 3 years, uh, another, what we can call, another role was setting up. Yeah, another pot was being spilled up. So this time, the TIPRA stands for the Tripura Indigenous Progressive Regional Alliance. TIPRA. It has been headed by the royal family of the indigenous tribe of Tripura, and this represents the indigenous people. And you know who represent Bengalis? Any guesses?
No, you might have to tell us. Who would that be?
TMC, Trinamool Congress. So now you see the strategy with BJP, acquired in 2018. Now the same strategy is being acquired by the opposition. So Bengali and indigenous people through the TIPRA, they are colliding, and which is a great cause of concern for the ruling party. So to create another fault line, okay, to create another fault line, because they know that now they can't bank on this Bengali indigenous wala divide. So to create another fault line, they are bringing this game on, and not just Hindu Muslims. When such type of raids happen, many people separate out on various ideologies, where various inclination of mind and all such things. So it can be said that a new political framework, or new conditions are being set up in Tripura, so that the ruling party benefits. So that was my analysis.
All right. So we have Abhishek with us too. Abhishek, don't you, taking an example of Tripura itself, don't you think the communal violence in India is increasing day by day? And so, can you give your thoughts on that? And what role does social media actually play in spreading the virus and spreading the violence?
Sure, Polas. Actually, Pralab had very well put the context of Tripura before us. So, coming to the overall overall communal violence that is on the rise in India, here are my thoughts. I feel that hmm, dividing India is one such process that has been opted by the Britishers in the first place. Then, after independence, our governments have taken cue from that, and they are maintaining that now. So this is not a new phenomena, especially in the states of northeastern region, where there is a lot of migration that has happened due to various wars and independence of Bangladesh. The demographies out there have definitely been changed. So this is a prime cause of concern for the regions out there. Taking the example of Tripura, which we are talking now, we see that I have read somewhere about the stats of the demography of Tripura, that in the year 1941, there was 63% of the indigenous tribe. The 63% of the population were the local tribes there. Basically, they were dominated by the Tripuri tribe. But then after the independence of India, and later due to wars, and also due to the 1971 war that liberated Pakistan, and Bangladesh was then formed. Bangladesh was formed. Majorly, the Bengali-speaking people have migrated to the northeastern states. So, if you see the geography of Tripura, uh, it is surrounded by Assam in the north and Mizoram in the east. And on the complete western frontier of Tripura is neighbor is bordered by Bangladesh. So when the East Pakistan turned into Bangladesh, there were many migrants that came into the state of Tripura, and majority of these migrants were Bengali. Obviously, they were Bengali speaking people, but majority of these were Hindus. So drastically, the demography is changed there. It was also calculated that about 6 lakh migrants have crossed the border and entered the land of Tripura. So the 63% population that were which the local tribes were in the dominant hand, they now reduced to the state of minority. So if we see the demography of Tripura today, these local migrants have a share of around 8 to 9%, 18 to 19%, and the majority is held with the Bengali speaking Hindus. And moreover, the Muslim population, which is always a bone of contention, especially when talked in the region of northeastern states, is just as minuscule as 9% in Tripura. So there is no cause of concern for the Hindu dispensation that is ruling right now to be wary of the growing rise of, the rise of Muslim population. So, and Pralabha also put it well that how the strategy of coming into power worked for the BJP government in the last election, and it is not, and why it is not working now. Because the new player, it's not new player, but as of now, it is being a dominant player there. That TMC party is now having close affiliations with the Tipra party, which in the previous election that had close relations with the BJP, and that was the main reason for the BJP to grab the seat of power. And seeing that this might not happen this time, so and taking the cue from what has the creepy incidents that have occurred in Bangladesh in the recent past, where during the Navaratri time some Durga pandals were attacked. So taking cue from there, so some of the reports have occurred that there was a peaceful rally that is being started in the Tripura to showcase the protests that what is happening in Bangladesh. But these protests eventually turned out to be violent. And there was also some social media handles showcasing some posts stating some mosque somewhere in the place in the Tripura interiors have been vandalized. So as per the official statement of Tripura police, they state that these are the images that have been wrongly portrayed, because these are not the images of present rally, and these are actually the fake news that is being spread. So to answer the question of you, Polash, that how fake media or social media with fake news really can hamper or increase the communal violence in India. Actually, we can see the trend of communal violence on a rise, especially during when some sort of elections take place in any of the states or in the country at large, because elections in India do not work on the note of development. This is actually true, because actually don't actually most of the population here don't rely on proper sources. They believe on the hearsay, and they tend to make up their mind and vote the contestant. So here social media really plays a crucial role, because especially these days, even each and every political party is heavily investing in social media campaigning, and also in the gathering intelligence from the social media. So based on their reports, they'll be maintaining their mode of work and the policies that they need to take place. They have to take forward. So social media definitely plays a crucial role, and it's the role of the government to identify what is fake news and what are the sources of it, and curtail those sources at the initial stage itself, so that it doesn't take its toll on the democracy at large.
Okay, thank you for the insightful information, Abhishek. Philip, I want to ask you, what do you think is the future for Tripura and the Muslim that stays around 9% of Muslims are there in the Tripura district, and usually most of them are Bengali speakers. So, what do you think are their future? What can affect them, and what are the future play of the government here, as far as the opposition goes?
See, Polash, when we look at the demographics there, or when we look at the culture there, or when we look at northeastern India, so these people are very insecure about protecting their indigeneity, okay, about protecting their identity and also things. So the thing is, while doing this, while protecting their identity. They try to encroach on, or they try to, put up a face, or try to be against others. It is always like us versus them. So while we while we should work on integrating northeastern India with the mainland India, we should also work to integrate different sect of society within northeastern India as well. You know, so the thing is that, because if Muslim migrants starts coming into the states like Tripura or Assam, okay, then it is very easy, you know, it is very easy to instigate these people and you ransack their properties and create a ruckus over there, because once you play that, okay, you are someone and they are others who are coming into your land. One thing is that. Second is, these people are threat to your culture. These people are threat to your identity. So such thing you can't do in mainland India, but you can do, but not with such magnitude. Okay, but there people are very very paranoid about these things. Our culture, our tradition. Okay, not even people coming from Delhi can't control us. Okay, how these people from other states are coming, and various political parties are banking on that. They know that these people are very easy to ignite. Yeah. Moreover, I would like to also you know uh, talk about an evolutionary instinct here of this paranoia thing which I spoke of. Okay. So the thing is, when we were evolving, this paranoia thing saved our asses, because our environment was very hostile, and someone from nowhere, out of the jungle, out of the dark, can come and end your life or slit open your throat. Anything could have happened. Then we started settling down, and the things became safer. Okay, now in towns and township, you don't fear anything. There is no fear of wild animals, or from other people who might come and ransack you and all such things. So this paranoia is still there within all of us. Okay, this paranoia. So how this paranoia is answered? This paranoia is answered uh, with our insecurities, with our fear. We are shown fear. We are shown fear of each other. Okay, this people, this doesn't belong to you. Okay, you both are not the same. Okay, and he might encroach upon your land. Okay, he might just kill your family and take all over your property. So these things are, we need to understand where these things are coming from, and we need to analyze these things, and we need to educate people. We need to develop a consciousness of belongingness there, that okay, it's very nice that you protect your culture, you preserve it. Okay, it needs to be preserved, it's your heritage, but in that process, you don't encroach upon someone else's right to live a particular way.
So, Abhishek, I just wanted to ask you that first there was an violence on Hindus in Bangladesh during Durga Puja, and then this Tripura violence happened. So, what kind of strain does it put between the two governments and the interrelationship of these two working governments? Since we know Bangladesh is going and is rising in its economic fund and might be soon as an ally to us. So, how does these acts actually put a strain on that relationship?
Sure, Palas. So I would like to discuss what would be the impacts of these communal violence. So basically, the first impact that we can see is that these communal violences definitely violate the human rights in the first place. Second, if we see, these also impact drastically because there is huge economic loss due to these communal violences. Because property is being broken, the economic activity is stalled, due to which there is a great loss of economic activity as well. And moreover, we can also see the social dissonance here. Because what happens when a communal violence occurs is, though it strengthens the vote banks of some ideologically aligned parties, but we can see that it definitely has a serious repercussion to the communal harmony in the long run. It also tarnishes the country's image as a pluralistic society, which is very much required in today's world. Because India is known for its pluralistic society, based on which there are increasing number of FDIs coming in. Because India also is one that destination where lot of investors look to, because we have a huge demographic dividend, and India is definitely on a rising pace now. So when we compare India as a country to that of Bangladesh, in terms of geography or in terms of population or in terms of consumption and demographic dividend, definitely these countries are no match to each other, because India is a very huge economic power. But incidences like these can definitely hamper that image in the global world. That is the main reason why we see that the investments that are that can I mean the products that are coming out of Bangladesh today. You see, Nike has established factories there. Every merchandise thing that we see, I mean, actually the clothes and shoes are manufactured in Bangladesh. We know that these are new brands that we can see in the Mintra, which are Roadster. It comes out of Bangladesh directly. So these are the direct and indirect effects of all such incidences. Because when, I mean, geography is no different from what it is, and the climatic factors are no different from the areas of northeastern climate and Bangladeshi climate to some extent matches. So there is no point that these investments are diverted to Bangladesh. So when we curtail such sort of instances, then our northeastern area is definitely rich in natural resources, and I'm very positive to see that it also attracts a lot of investments if we curtail such activities.
That was very beautifully explained. Pradap, do you want to conclude this with any last words?
Um, okay, so we talked a lot about the geopolitics of the region, about the political situations, about the demographics of the area, and all such things. So it reminds me of Carl Sagan. So the thing is, when Voyager 1 took a photo of planet Earth from outer solar system. I mean, it crossed the orbit of Pluto as well. So it was approximately 6.4 billion kilometers. In that, our planet was looking like a mode of dust, a pale blue dot. And hence, the seeing that Carl Sagan, the famous American astronomer, made a speech, the pale blue dot. So I would like to read out a few excerpt from that speech. Okay. So the thing is, Carl Sagan was looking at that photo, and our Earth was looking like only like a dot in the abyss. Okay, so the except goes like this: think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors, so that in glory and triumph they could become the momentary masters of a fraction of a dot. Think of the endless cruelties visited by the inhabitants of one corner of this pixel on the scarcely distinguishable inhabitants of some other corner. How frequent their misunderstandings, how eager they are to kill one another, how fervent their hatred is. So this was from me and all of us. So
I thank you so much, Pradap. And just to know, thank you so much, Abhishek and Pradap, for this insightful talk and a complete analysis, especially for me, because since I was also not that aware of what things are going on. So this was very informative. So this is the end of the podcast this time. So you are right now listening to Two Cents, which is an initiative where we try to analyze and give opinions about data set things that affects us in India. So we'll hope you'll catch us later. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day.